Have you ever heard of geocaching? Maybe you're a pro at it, or if you're like me, maybe you had never even heard the word before. Either way, you're going to love my conversation with my guest, Lisa Breitenfeldt, today. We're going to talk about what geocaching is, why people get hooked on it, and how it can bring a little adventure and connection into your life, no matter where you are, even a remote place like South Dakota. Do you fear what lies beyond retirement? What if it's a gateway to a life filled with purpose, meaning, and adventure rather than an end? Discover peace and fulfillment as you boldly enter this new chapter in Courageous Retirement, a Christian podcast. I'm your host, author, and coach, Vonna Johnson. Let's get started. So I am just really excited today. Ever since I first met you in a group that we are in together, I've been just fascinated with what you are doing. And it's one of those things where I've heard about it before, but didn't know enough to, and I wasn't quite curious enough maybe to go digging on my own. But when we met, it was like, all right, we're gonna figure this out. So if you can't tell by Lisa's t-shirt, she is a geocacher. And I am just fascinated with this. And I really love the idea that as her shirt says, cash like a girl. Obviously, this isn't just a woman's sport. If you're listening, you don't have to disconnect now because there's going to be a lot of good information for you here as well. But I invited Lisa here because I want to learn about it. And it just occurred to me that this is something, when we talk about courageous retirement, part of it is trying things we've never done before, doing things that might get us excited. I'm thinking I might want to try this. So, Lisa, first of all, tell us what really is geocaching?
Yeah, well, thanks, Vana, for having me on your show. So, geocaching in a nutshell is high-tech hide and seek. Geocachers will, there's a main website called geocaching.com where you can get the information, and there is an app for it as well. Super easy. We all have smartphones these days, and that's where you go to find out information about how to find the geocaches.
So I do this, I download the app and I go do my thing. When I find it, what does that look like? What am I finding? And
Yeah.
what do I do
Well,
when I find it?
that's where it gets a little challenging for a lot of folks that are just getting started. A lot of people have a preconception that a geocache is an obvious box. Maybe it's buried or tucked in somewhere. It's going to be very obvious what it is. Actually, burying caches is against the rules. So they're not going to be buried. A traditional type of cache would be something like this. This is a lock and lock container. It really started with ammo cans and Tupperware. Yeah. So this is a kind of a traditional type of cache, but they can be many different types as well. They can be a rock like this, where you know when you found it. Yeah. So they've got a secret compartment inside of it. And they can be all the way down as small as this little guy here.
Wow.
If you can see that in the plastic bag, I'll see if I can get it out of the bag.
Oh,
And these are magnetic. So this could be, hidden under a park bench or on some sort of metal structure. It could be anything. So they can be a little challenging. And I've got some really good tips for people getting started because when you're just getting started, you don't know what you're looking for.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a little intimidating. We don't want to look like a fool out there digging around looking for under park benches and things like that, especially if we
Oh,
don't know what we're looking for. So yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it is how you get started. You don't really know exactly what you're looking for, but there's a lot of clues that will help you. Here's a better close up of how
Okay.
tiny this is. It screws open. So it's a
Okay.
tiny little
Wow.
compartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, geocaches are rated on a 5-star scale. It can be, so it's 1 to 5 in terrain and in difficulty. So a 1-1 cache is something that is actually what we call handy cacheable. So you can roll up to it in a wheelchair, push a stroller, very easy to get to, no stir curbs to step over, and it'll be obvious to find, even reach it in a seated type position. So we really recommend new folks to get, when they're starting, to go after the 1 terrain caches and the 1 difficulty. Now, the difficulty Again, it's if it's the one difficulty, it's obvious, it's right there where, you can generally see them. All the way up to a 5, which is hidden very, very well concealed. So to be successful right out of the gate, I recommend that people look for caches that are rated on a 1-1 scale. And then they're also organized by size as well. So something like this is a regular size
Mhm.
geocache. And again, so they're going to be easier to find, and there's probably going to be things inside of them. And I'll dive into that a little later, perhaps. And then these are what are called micro caches. So they're much smaller in size, so they're much harder to find. So my best tip for people just getting started is to go after regular size caches on a 1-1 difficulty and terrain. And that's real obvious on the website and on the app. And you can even filter for it just to see caches of those sizes and terrain and difficulty.
Okay, so I have found my first cache.
Yeah,
What do I do?
that's
I
a great
mean, do
question.
you just check a box off on the app? Is there, you said some of them have things inside. I mean, what's,
Correct. Yeah, so all physical caches have a logbook to sign. And
okay.
that is the only rule of geocaching is you have to sign the logbook. So you need to open it up. And then inside will be some sort of, little booklet or something
Okay.
like that. Even these tiny little nanos, they screw open and there's a little scroll of paper inside of them.
No
That,
way.
yeah, yeah. So you scritch your little initials on there. I guess I should say my geocaching name is Lookout Lisa.
Okay.
Um, so all geocachers, you have a handle or a geocaching name and you have to sign, I sign Lookout Lisa and then the date if it's a larger size,
Yeah.
logbook like this. On these tiny little ones, I just write in LOL for Lookout Lisa.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's the one rule of geocaching. And then if there's items inside, you can trade for them. And it's on an equal trade basis. So we want to trade equal or trade up for something better, even. And that makes it more fun. If you're taking the grandkids out, kids love to find things in geocaches.
Yeah.
So again, that's why you want to go for regular size caches. There'll be something inside of them.
So when
Um,
you say trade, so would I bring something with me that I leave in the cache then?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's guidelines around that as well. What you can trade for. Again, it needs to be kid friendly. So if it's something that, you would feel comfortable if your kid picked it up off the street or, in a geocache. No food, no liquids, nothing illegal, of course, and nothing really smelly, because like one thing I find is those little containers of bubbles. You dip the little thing in them and blow them. That's a big no-no. That'll freeze
Sure.
and crack and make a sudsy mess inside of the geocache. And a lot of those are scented, and that just attracts insects and animals and such.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Good.
then when you make your trade, you sign the logbook and then you put it all back together and you put it back where you found it. You don't move it. Not like the painted rocks where you can take the rock and, do with it what you want. You put it back where you found it. And then on the app or back home at the website, or you can even pull up the website on your phone, you then mark it as found and you can write a little note to the cache owner so they know that you found it.
Okay. So can anyone be a cache owner? Could I go hide something somewhere and then put it out on the site?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's completely community-based game. So I've hidden a couple hundred caches over my 24-year
Okay.
reign of geocaching. And yeah, anyone can hide a cache. Again, there's guidelines around them, but we recommend that you find at least 100 caches first.
Okay.
So you want to, that way you get a really good idea of what makes a good geocache, what other people are doing in your area or wherever you're caching. They're all around the world, actually.
Well, and
Uh,
that was going to be one of my questions because
yeah,
I live in the middle of South Dakota. I mean,
okay.
very rural. So would I be able to expect that there will be caches right here in good old Pierre, South Dakota?
I believe you would. Yeah, yeah.
I have to check
These
that out.
The easiest way is just go to geocaching.com and you can type in your zip code or your address
Okay.
into the search bar right at the very top of the page, and it'll pull up a map and show you the geocaches around your area.
Wonderful.
There are caches all over. You know, when I first started geocaching back in 2002, there weren't very many. But over the years, more and more people have joined the game and have hidden their own. So you're going to be surprised. There are actually millions of geocaches in the world to find. And there's even one on the International Space Station.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long has geocaching been around?
Yeah. It started in 2000.
25 years then.
Yeah, yeah, this is our 25th anniversary coming up this year of the game. What happened was previously, well, GPS technology, we're all familiar with that now, I think. We have it in our cars, we have it in our phones, we have it even in our watches. Previously, before 2000, it was only available to the military. It was what was called selective availability. And so the signal was scrambled. So anybody with a regular type of GPS at that time, a handheld one, they were only accurate within about 300 feet or 100 meters. And overnight, literally, President Clinton said, I think we can turn this off and make GPS signal clear and available to the general public. And so through the switch, although it really wasn't a switch, but
Yeah.
selective availability was turned off on May 2nd, 2000. And within 2 days, a gentleman said, Hey, this is interesting. Let's see how well this works. And turned his GPS on. He went and hid a bucket in Oregon, actually just outside of Portland, and then got the coordinates, posted them on his Usenet group. Remember, this is 2000, so the internet was still pretty young, and said, Hey, this is my geo stash that I hid. Go find it. And within a couple of days, people were finding it. So that's how it started, actually.
That's really cool. I love
Yeah.
that. So I'm envisioning that maybe a group of couples or maybe a group of gals might do go out and do it just for an afternoon of fun, or I assume you could plan a whole vacation around it if you wanted to. Would I be right?
Absolutely. That's one of the beauties of geocaching. It's truly a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, you can find a geocache on the way to the grocery store. Matter of fact, there's probably one near your grocery store.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, maybe even in a parking lot. And I'm going to give you all a tip on parking lot caches here a little later. Ask me again about that. But yes, it's a ton of fun. When I first started caching, I had a hiking group of gals that we would hike together. And unbeknownst to a couple of us, three of us all started geocaching within like 2 weeks of each other. And we commandeered our hiking group and said, let's go caching. And everyone loved it. And so we would go every Saturday. Just we'd meet at a coffee shop, talk about whatever we wanted to talk about with our girlfriends, and then went out geocaching for a couple of hours. And then, yeah, I plan my life is literally lives around geocaching because it's my business as well. But yeah, it's a great way to plan vacations as well or trips because geocachers hide caches at interesting places, places that are generally out of the way that you would never even know about. Even in your own hometown, you might find locations that you had no idea or histories or, interesting things. So it's just a great way to explore the world and, you can quit whenever you want, call it a day,
Yeah.
just find one. I know people that will set a challenge for themselves and they'll cache for 24 hours straight, and try to find as many as they can. So it's truly choose your own adventure.
I love that. And to me, it sounds like the perfect thing to do with our grandkids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of get them excited about using the coordinates and all the things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Younger kids really enjoy geocaching. Another preconception is that caching is just for kids, and it's really not.
Yeah.
Once kids turn 12, 13, they're off doing other things, sports, activities, chasing boys and girls, what have you. But it is definitely a fun thing for younger kids for sure. And that's again where I recommend looking for regular or large sized geocaches. So there'll be something for them to trade and bring something for them to trade as well.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites is just marbles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that keeps popping up is are they vandalized? I mean, I can see some kids out just playing and not even knowing what's going on and take it or,
Yeah.
it or
Yeah.
I assume that happens too, doesn't it?
It does, unfortunately. Yeah. So we call people that don't geocache, like you, Vana, I would call you a muggle.
Muggle.
A
Okay.
muggle. Yeah,
That's
from
a
Harry
new label
Potter.
I have not had before, I don't think.
Okay, yeah. So you're a muggle. Well,
Okay.
actually, now you're kind of a mudblood, but because you know a little bit about geocaching.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But when somebody steals a geocache or something happens, sometimes, it's as simple as, there's a forest clearing along the side of a road and it sweeps up a geocache and it, disappears, or an animal takes it or what have you. We call that it was muggled.
Okay.
Yeah, or stolen. So that does happen. And, in the game, even now over the years, we've had a few people that join it just to steal it, and they steal the containers. Usually it's an odd thing, and admins can figure it out
Yeah.
and shut those accounts down.
Yeah.
And so those people are unable to see the caches. And there's another way too is there's two types of caches. The geocaching is free to play. It's on a freemium base.
Mhm.
And however, there is a fee. I think it's around $40 now a year, a little less than that. And that allows you to see premium caches.
Mhm.
So if you are a premium member, you can hide premium caches, and the general public can't see those caches. They don't show up on the app.
Okay.
So, yeah, you do have a better adventure for sure if you do sign up for that, but there's no need to. If you're just getting started, there's still going to be thousands of geocaches that are going to be fun to go find.
So I have to know, I assume that all the things that are behind you are related to your caching. Are those things that you have traded? Or
Yeah, actually, these are what we call geo coins.
okay.
So let me grab one here. This is a fun one. So it has a design on them showing okay, yeah, this one is a sample one. So this is what we call two seasons. It's winter and then road construction. I'm in Washington State, so we're just,
Same
yeah,
thing.
similar weather here. And so these started a couple years after geocaching started, and they will have a tracking code on them. And you can type in the code. This is kind of like geocaching 301 is the
Okay.
trackables.
Okay.
But that code, you can type it in at geocaching.com and you can see where this coin has been and who has handled it. So you may
Okay.
have heard of the Where's George dollars, where they've got a little Where's George stamp.
Yep.
You type in the
Yep.
serial number at where'sgeorge.com. You can see who's traded that dollar. Same concept with these.
Okay.
However, the fancy coins, they generally don't stay in caches. People put them in their collection.
Sure.
Um, that's one of my businesses. We actually make the coins. Yeah. And so
Oh,
these are all coins that we've made generally for other entities, other geocaching groups, or big events. They'll include coins in their registration packets and such.
I love it. That's
Yeah,
so that's a conversation for another somebody maybe a little more advanced than where we are today. So, but
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, no, I
It is a tip, though, that if you find something like this that has a code on it, they're going to be 6 alphanumeric letters and numbers.
mhm.
It's not yours to keep. It's meant to move on.
Okay.
So technically, you can take it, but you need to register it and then move it along. I recommend new people leave them alone. Leave them for the next person who is a little more familiar with it.
I know that this is your business and you have the opportunity for people to start caching with your cash box, your subscription box. Tell us about that if you would please.
Yeah, sure, Vana. Thanks for asking. So, yeah, 10 years ago, I started a subscription box called the Cache Crate just for geocachers. I've had an e-commerce business around supplying the gear for geocaching for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, because when I started geocaching, there wasn't much equipment out there or gear. We were literally raiding our junk drawers getting old Tupperware and containers and stuff that we picked up around, old toys to use for swag, to hide in and trade for caches. So I started my business around providing the gear to play the game. And that grew into the subscription box. So it's just actually, I have 6 different subscriptions.
Wow.
One is the t-shirt club, and then we've got the main box as well. This is our flagship subscription, or you can get both. And so it's a monthly, excuse me, a monthly subscription of fun geocaching gear that you get delivered right to your door. So it's like a special geocache box that comes to you instead of you going out and seeking it. And inside we have occasionally geocoins that are minted especially just for our members. And yeah, then there'll be other, cache containers, these rocks that we make. They have gone out in caches in the past. And but we know not everybody's a hider, so those are a couple of times throughout the year. And we have other items too, maintenance kits. It's good etiquette to, replace a logbook if it's wet or damaged or something, and refresh the insides of the cache if you can. And then other fun things to keep yourself safe while you're out geocaching, such as first aid kits or sunscreen, bug repellent. We send in the summertime.
Great.
So things like that. Yeah.
Very
And that is called the Cache Crate. Go to cachecrate.com. You'll see a lot more information about it there.
All right. That's very cool. And I did make an assumption at the beginning that everybody would be in the place that I am and not know anything, but I would assume there will be people that are listening that are more engaged, and I would just encourage them
Mhm.
to, or anybody. I mean, if this sounds exciting, share it with your friends so that they can kind of get in on the fun too. A fun way to spend, like you said, a day, an hour, whatever. So that's
Yeah, it's just a great activity to get outside. In the cache write-up, you'll have an idea of what you're seeking. So, you'll have an idea of what sort of adventure you're getting yourself or your friends into. Is it an easy walk in the park? If that's what you want, go
yeah.
for that. Or, something more of a, wooden scramble or something like that. That might not be what you're looking for. And I know so many couples that have come into our community, geocaching community, because they were just looking for something new to do together. And it's just a great way to get out in nature. Not necessarily, though, a lot of caches are actually in the city, but just a really fun activity to de-stress and work together as a team potentially. You can do it by yourself as well, but a lot of folks really do enjoy doing it together with friends. And there's a huge geocaching community. We get together at events as well. And I met my husband through geocaching. He was another geocacher.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I can see all kinds of different applications for it. So you had mentioned a couple of times that you have some tips for people, and I would love for you to share those with us if you would.
Yeah, sure. So, like I had mentioned earlier, when you're just getting started, again, it's free to play. So, just there's nothing that really all you need is a pencil to sign those logs.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
thinking that. Don't forget your pencil. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely bring a pencil or a pen or something to write with. Because again, that is the one rule that you have to sign the log on the traditional type of geocaches. And then go after 1-1 caches that are a regular size. So they're going to be easy to find, not a hard hike, and bigger. So, and then some fun things to trade. You don't have to trade though. So there's no
Okay.
reason. Yeah.
Good to know.
I generally don't, but if I find something that really piqued my interest, I just might. And money's okay to trade for too. So these are dollar store items that we're talking. So, just simple things.
Okay.
And then I wanted to give a parking lot tip. Caches, they're called LPCs, light pole caches.
Okay.
You can think about any parking lot, grocery store, Target, Walmart, what have you. They've got those light poles all around them. There's usually a cement base to them. They have a little skirt, metal skirt, and then the pole. That skirt lifts up and it's a hollow space inside there. And if you're stuck trying to find a geocache and you're like, where is this geocache in the middle of this parking lot? It's in the light pole. So,
Okay.
big spoiler.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it.
yeah. Or it could even be something magnetic if the light pole is a ferrous metal that's is stuck to it, like a little nano.
I would have
But
never figured that one out on my own.
yeah, that was like when I first found one of those, I was like, oh my gosh, how is this? And yeah, I've been caching for a few years and in the middle of this parking lot, where is this cache? And as geocachers, we've learned to carefully see if something moves because those harder difficulty ones can be very obvious. They're right there, but they look like they belong. And so you just see if something moves, but you definitely want to put everything back the way you found it. Don't go digging up somebody's landscaping, trying to find, a rock that's hidden around, but you have to put everything back. Yeah, it's good etiquette.
Yes, that makes sense.
So those are my top tips, I think there. And it's just about having fun, and you don't always find the cache. So I guess I should mention about that too. They're like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
They've been muggled or something has happened to them. Maybe they're damaged or removed or something. And so I usually give caches a couple of minutes. If I can't find it, it's time to move on. And you can actually mark it on the app or on the website as a DNF, as it did not find.
Okay.
And that leaves a note for the owner. They know maybe their cache is missing, there might be something wrong with it. And or it just eluded you somehow. And then you get a little frowny face on your map, little blue face. So you know to go back and look for it another time, potentially.
Okay.
Maybe when you've had a little more experience.
Awesome. Oh, this just sounds like fun. I'm definitely gonna have to try it when it's warmer out. It's like below zero here today, so we're not doing it today.
Yeah. Oh, that's cold. Yeah. We're just at freezing here. Oh, and I should mention one other thing too. There are different types of geocaches.
Okay.
And so I really recommend that there's a lot of help, excuse me, information at the website, the main website that explains the different cache types.
Okay.
And they have different icons on the map. So the traditional caches, like I've been talking about, there's coordinates and you navigate your way there, put your phone away or your GPS with when you're within about 20 feet and just think about where would I hide something and start looking in those places. But there's other types of geocaches that are multiple steps, or there's actually nothing physical to find. Those are called virtual caches, and you've got to answer a question at a certain set of coordinates. And so those can be really frustrating if you're just getting started. You think you're looking for something, but you're really needing an answer. So be careful what type of cache types you go after. And we recommend just starting with the traditional ones. And there's even puzzles that are very complicated that you've got a lot to solve first that unlock the actual coordinates of where the cache is hidden. So the game has really evolved. Keep it simple to get started. And then once you've got a handle on it, and if you like it, most people either love it or it's just not for them. But for most, they really like it. And you can, again, choose your own adventure.
What's coming up for me is this is a great place to start, but there are so many levels, and obviously we can't cover them all today. So I know that you have something that will help somebody that starts and they're like, okay, I'm in, I want more. Tell them about your podcast and how they can find that so they can plug in with other people who are caching and be a part of that community.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm just in the process while we're recording this of getting my first couple of episodes put together. But as this episode comes out, it should be live. My podcast is called Cache Like a Girl. There are other podcasts out there all about geocaching, but none of them focus just on the ladies that are a part of the geocaching world. When I started caching, it was mostly men. But these days, with the advent of smartphones and apps and many more caches out there, it's actually a little more women than men geocache these days, I think. And so nobody's getting all those stories of the different women that are out there caching. So cachelikeagirl.com is where you can go. My trailer is there and I can sign up to get email updates as to when episodes are released. It won't be a regular basis, it's more series based, but I'm interviewing other women geocachers of all different levels, beginners, parents, retirees, and then sharing tips and tricks also as well, all about, about geocaching.
Truly, that's how we met. Was we're in a group that we learn how to what we call modcast, which is a modern podcast with the video and the audio and all of that. And if I remember right, I was in on the conversation helping you decide what to name your podcast.
I think you were. I was wearing this shirt.
I think you were. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
This
anyway,
was a shirt that I designed for a Mother's Day box. We do a Mother's Day gift box as well. And that's all over at our e-commerce site, cash-advance.com. And I was wearing this shirt and trying to come up with a name for my podcast. And
we were
yeah,
all like, duh.
right there on your shirt, Lisa. Yeah. So that's exactly
Sometimes the answer is right in front of us. We just are looking too hard.
exactly. Yeah. So thank you for that. It's worked really well.
Has it? I love it. I just think it's amazing. And I am excited to give this a try. I'm just so grateful that you came along today and shared this information with us. And I'm just going to put it out there that if any of my listeners today or anytime in the future give it a try, I would love some feedback on what your thoughts are. And I'm sure Lisa would enjoy that as well. So thank
Yeah.
you, Lisa. It's just been a pleasure to have you on the show today. And
Well, thank you, Vana, for inviting me on, and hope I didn't overwhelm folks. But again, it's super easy to get started. Just just get out there and go find a couple of caches and enjoy it from there.
yeah, well, good luck to you with the podcast. I'm
Thank
excited to
you.
hear that
Yeah,
too. So,
you
all right,
too.
take care. Thank you. So there you have it. Wasn't that fun? I don't know about you, but I am really excited to try this. I got to be honest, I have not gone out and found my first cache yet, but I do intend to do so. I did go to geocaching.com and I found that there are nearly 60 different sites within 10 miles of where I live. So that should be enough to keep me busy for quite a long time, not to mention all the places that I can go to as I travel around the state and to other states. I hope that you found this to be an exciting adventure that you can try in your courageous retirement. If you do, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on geocaching. And if you have other ideas of things that I should be sharing with the listeners of Courageous Retirement, I'd love to hear about that. Next time, when you come back in 2 weeks, we are going to interview a guest, and she's going to share with us her concept of how we live with no regrets. Sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? I hope to see you back here then. Until then, I pray that you will engage your faith, live your more, and reap the many, many benefits of living in courageous retirement. Have a blessed day.